Hello everyone, I am Teacher Sunny and welcome to our math class.
Video, we are going to learn how to identify if a number is a rational number or an irrational number. So let's identify which is which first. When we say a rational numbers means a number that can be written or that we can write as a fraction a over b, and b should not be equal to 0. To easily distinguish the difference between the two, let's try to have an examples in here. So we have here, the first part is square root of 2. Square root of 2 is not a perfect number or not a perfect square. We can say that this number is irrational because if we are going to get the square root of 2, we will get a never-ending value of decimals which cannot be rewritten or write as a fraction. This is an example of irrational because it is not a perfect square number. We have 8 out of 2. So 8 out of 2 is already a fraction because it looks like a fraction already. However, a rational number can be classified into three parts. Number 1, we have your fraction, which means it is a over b. Number 2, we have also your integers. Integers are numbers that are positive, negative, and 0, and they are complete, or we say whole numbers. It means they are not a fraction, they are not a part only, and also not a decimal. That is the third classification of rational, which is the decimals. And we have two kinds of decimals in here. We have the recurring decimals or the repeating decimals, and we also have the normal decimals or the terminating decimals. When we say repeating, it will go forever, but there is a pattern that can be followed. When we say terminating, it will not go forever. It has a fixed amount of number for its decimal values. Because we also have a decimals that goes on forever, but is not repeating or not recurring, or it doesn't have a pattern, which makes this decimal become a irrational number. Let's go back again. We have 8 out of 2 or 8 over 2, and we know that if we are going to get the value of 8 over 2, which is 4, and 4 is a complete number, so therefore it is a rational number but is an integer. Next, we have 3.45 and 6. We have here the 3 points, which basically means this will go forever or for infinity. But as we can see, there is no point on the top or no point like this, which indicates that it has a pattern. Now here, we don't know if there is a pattern as the decimal or the value of decimals goes to infinity. This is an example of irrational number. Next, we have 3.48. The difference between these two decimals is that we have a point on top of 8. This point refers or tells us that this will go forever and it will always be 8 on the next 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, and it will go for infinity, but we know the value. There is a pattern, which means it is a decimal, a rational number, a decimal, and to be exact, a recurring decimal or a repeating decimal. Now we have 8 out of 0. An irrational number or a fraction with a value of 0 on its denominator is irrational. However, we have a 0 out of 1. The 0 is on denominator. If however, we have here 0 out of 1 or 0 over 1, wherein the 0 is the numerator, which makes this equal to 0. And we know that 0 is an integer. So it is a rational number and classified as integer. Go up. 5 out of 2. 5 out of 2 is 25, a complete number, which makes a rational and an integer. A pi is a decimal. If we're going to put it on the decimal value, it has a very long number. It will also go to infinity without a pattern. This is an example of irrational number. We have 4 out of 6. We can already see that it is not complete because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So therefore, it is already a rational number and an example of fraction. 4.68 down here is an example of rational number, a terminating decimal because it is a decimal value that is have a fix, which means we can turn it into a fraction. If we're going to write this as a fraction, it will become 468 over 10, which will give us 4.68. Negative 15, which makes it integer, so irrational and integer. Square root of 36. So square root of 36, 36 is a perfect square, which give us the value of 6, and 6 is a complete number, which is then an integer. 5.67, because of the 2 points on the top, it means that it will go forever or for infinity with the pattern, just like 3.488888. It is a rational number and a recurring decimal. 3 out of 5, it is a fraction already because we can see that the number on the top is already smaller at the bottom. Even if we try to divide it, the value will still be on decimal form, which makes it as a rational number and on its fraction.